Malupit lang pagkaabala.
Naimbaga, bigat tayo amin, po, aming listeners and amin buibuya, lahat po nang nanonood dito sa ating daily press con and sa ating pag-aantabay po sa araw-araw na impeachment trial na nandito. Good morning.
Good morning, everyone. Thanks for being with us here this morning. No? So we'll just give updates about the important things that happened during the first day of presentation of witness yesterday, as well as what we could expect during the trial this afternoon. So the prosecution is very pleased with how the first day unfolded yesterday. I think as we all saw, Congressman Noy Defensor clearly, emphatically laid down the prosecution's position that the grave threats issued by the respondent against the lives of the President, the Vice President, and the former Speaker of the House constitute betrayal of public trust, culpable violation of the Constitution, and high crimes. I think maganda din ho ang nangyayari na emphasize ho dito that this article is based not just on documents and testimonies rather than the word the respondent herself. And maganda din ho yung naging reminder na kung ang mga simpleng mamayang Pilipino tulad ho ng isang public school teacher na nagbigkas ng threat sa life ng previous president, pati ho ang isang ordinaryong citizen na gumawa ho ng bomb jokes ay mabilis hong naparusahan para dito. We standards of morality, decency, and accountability. And nakita din ho natin kahapon, at we're very pleased that Attorney Ligutan was able to effectively present our first witness. As we've seen, despite the repeated objections from the other camp, which is, of course, to be fair with them, that's expected. They're doing their job, but we were still able to present the video footage that you wanted and all of this authentication documents. So for today, yesterday we were able to conclude the direct examination of our first witness, and today we expect the defense to conduct their cross-examination.
Good morning po. Attorney Tolosa, there was a call to play the whole 2 hours of the video. Why shouldn't that be played in whole during the trial po?
It could be done, like what the defense stated, right? They want to see the entire video para makita ho daw yung entire context when those subject utterances were made, when the threats were made. But as pointed out by Attorney Ligutan yesterday, and which was found to be correct by the presiding officer, discretion ho ng prosecution kung anong parte nung video na yon ang aming ipapakita. Now, if the defense on cross-examination would want all of us to watch the entire 2-hour video, then they can try to do that later on cross.
Sir, how would that affect yung expediency noong trial?
Well, as we could see, that's precisely the reason why on direct examination we objected to that attempt, to force us to have everyone sit there for more than 2 hours and watch it because we didn't find it to be necessary. But later, they'll probably try to do that, and we'll see how the impeachment court will rule on it.
Sir, what are we expecting for this afternoon?
As I've mentioned, they will cross-examine the witness, and this is their right. Ang trabaho ng prosecution, ilatag ang ebidensya, iyo po ang aming testigo. Under the process, under the rules of procedure, ang depensa naman meron silang karapatan na mag-cross-examine ng witness namin. But we're confident no, na tatayo ho ang ebidensyang mga linalatag namin.
Yes,
Yes.
po, you have something to add?
Sa akin kasi hindi na bago yung hindi na bago yung video na yun. Siguro napanood na lahat ng tao sa hindi lang sa Pilipinas, baka sa buong mundo napanood na po nila yung senaryo na yun. Pero nag-rule naman po ang ating impeachment judges. Sinabi naman po nila na pwede pong gawin yun during the time ng defense. Klarong-klaro naman po yun. Pero pag umiikot ka naman po, nakikita, ang tagal na po nun. Ilang taon na? Ilang taon na ba yun? 2 taon? Klarong-klaro naman po, binalikan yung mga timestamps saka nung plinayback nila yung mga crucial saka importanteng part. Bago po ako bago po nag-umpisa tong trial na to, nasa La Union ako umuwi ako Pag tinatanong po ako dito, hindi ako masyado nagde-dwell dun sa ay alam kong equally important yung other articles, pero parang dito talaga may kurot yung sa grave threats kasi parang ang hirap namang depensahan nung direct threat na yun, yung open threat, sabi nga nila. Sabi nga, sa ibang bansa yan, nako, secret service ng nakaharap sa'yo Sabi, yung mga, usually po kasi mga kakwentuhan ko, mga matatanda Ang sabi nila, nagdakes. Ang sama nung narinig nilang gano'n na open threat na ganyan, na manggagaling po sa matataas na opisyal. Although, ongoing na po itong ating trial, yun naman po yung importante. Sabi ko nga, ito lang po yung proper na forum para ipaliwanag po lahat at saka idepensa o ilatag man yung ebidensya. At napakalakas po ng araw ng kahapon, napakalakas po ng sigaw ng ebidensya. Thank you.
Is it possible for the prosecution to present the second witness later, sir?
It will depend. So what will happen is the defense will start their cross-examination when they're done. If necessary, we could also conduct a redirect examination, and then they'll also have the right to conduct recross. So depending on how long all of that will take, if there's enough time, and if the impeachment court will allow us, we'll be ready to present our second witness today.
Thank you po.
Ana D? Okay, Red.
Good morning po, Kong and Attorney. Kong, sabi po kasi ni Attorney Michael Powa, the defense spokesperson, na they're not counting the scores. Hindi naman nila binibilang yung scores kasi nga this was in reply doon sa sinabi yata kahapon ni Kong Sia na parang panalo na raw ang prosecution. Pero ang defense, they're saying na they're not counting down the scores kasi hindi naman daw ito parang parang di man daw ito boxing or it's still early in the game, ika nga nila. What's your take po doon sa sinasabi ng defense na it's too early to keep scores or keep tabs on this?
Should I take it first?
Yeah.
Okay. First of all, the prosecution is not claiming victory at this early stage. No? As we've stated, we've just said that we're pleased with how the first day of presentation of witness went. Because despite the repeated attempts to stop us from presenting our evidence, we prevailed and were able to do that. Now, tama ho yun, kami, again, to be fair dun sa other party, they were just doing their job, I-expect naman talaga natin yan, they will raise objections. But fortunately, sa aming side, we were able to counter them, and impeachment court allowed us to present our evidence. So, naniniwala ho kami doon, hindi ito paramihan ng objections at paramihan ng favorable ruling sa mga objections na to. Patibayan ho ng ebidensya to, and that's our goal.
Malakas po kasi ang kiliti ni Kong Zia. So medyo nakiliti siya. Nakiliti siya kahapon. Kasi alam naman po natin, halos magdadalawang taon na po to bago nagumpisa yung trial. So yung pagkasabi niya ng panalo, The mere fact na mapepresenta na po yung ebidensya, magkakaroon na ng trial, is a victory in itself. Klaro naman po yun sa prosecution, sa sentiments po ng mga sentiment survey, sa iba't ibang survey. Tansya ko po, kinilig siya ng konti. Pero again, as explained by Attorney Tolosa, mahaba po yung proseso. Kumbaga, these are the early steps. And sabi nga po, maganda na po na tumatakbo na po itong ating impeachment. It's a big first step for every Filipino.
One last na lang po on my end. Of course, nasabi din po ng defense na yung mga objections nila are it's a way of it's part of the process kasi nga yung iba daw doon sa mga questions niyo were leading questions or questions daw na answerable by yes or no po. And also parang marami din, of course, marami din silang objections yun nga, yung sa pag-play nga ng video kasi nga yung sa context po. Tell me po, attorney, do you think po ba, or does it think po ba na the defense did too much objections na parang, or you think po ba that they are delaying the trial po?
Alam mo, Red, nasa diskarte nila yan, tulad nga ng sinabi namin sa iyo kanina, diba? In fairness to them, they're doing their job, no? They'll do their job, they'll try to object to our questions, and we'll do ours, which is to present evidence, diba?
Okay, let's listen to Ma'am Milky.
Good morning, Attorney and Kong Pao. You were pleased, sabi nyo nga, with the results of day 2. How will you maintain the momentum of the hearing?
Well, we think there's only one way to do that, no? Which is to keep preparing, no? For the trial, for every witness that we will present, for every evidence that we will submit to the court. Yan lang naman ho yan. And I think, klaro naman, no? That's why we're pleased with how the first 2 days unfolded. This is a result of the hard work of and the months of preparations.
To second Attorney Jill. Actually, ang tinanong ko po dito si Attorney Lorna. Kasi syempre, kumbaga, seasoned na lawyer na siya. Sabi ko, Tita Lorna, nervous ka pa ba? Sabi niya, hindi. Pero I treat the smallest case as the biggest case. Tapos, preparation will outweigh everything. So, preps talaga. Yun ang number one na, yun lang ang laging parang advice niya o when I try to pick her brain na sinasabi niya na kahit anong kaso yan or anong bagay yan, yung paghahanda will always outweigh kahit anong iba to sa prosecution.
My request, sir, ang prosecution for Attorney Zuleika Attorney Zuleika Lopez to attend the hearing. Ito po ba is under the Article 4? At kung hihiramin ko yung term ni Congressman Paolo, makakadagdag ba ito sa kilig sa pagsubaybay sa hearing? Thank you.
Okay, yes, we confirm that we filed the request for issuance of subpoena to direct Attorney Zuleika to appear before the court. No? But it's still currently pending. We're waiting for the impeachment court's action on it. And we hope you'll understand, we can't yet delve into the merits and discuss at length what would be her testimony. You know? So let's wait for that.
May kilig factor naman doon. Siguro nakakakilig na may mga familiar kasi nga 'di ba we used to have the hearings in the house sa Blue Ribbon and sa Quad. So siguro nostalgic yung feeling, parang ganun. 'Di ba? Love wins.
Magandang umaga po. Kenneth from Inquirer. Sir, matanong na lang din po pala, attorney. Cross-examination na kasi mamaya. Will the defense be allowed to pursue leading questions pagdating sa witness?
Yes, that's allowed on direct.
And
I'm
how-
sorry, on cross-examination, that's allowed.
After, sa redirect, pwede pa
Sa
rin po?
redirect? No.
Cross-examinations lang po talaga.
Yes.
And how will this affect the case po? Na allowed ang defense to put forward leading questions into the witnesses? And how is the prosecution preparing against efforts to weaken the evidence and the testimonies of the witnesses being presented?
Okay. That's normal, no? Sa lahat naman ho ng trial work, ganyan ho talaga yan under the rules of court, no? Leading questions are not allowed during direct examination. They're allowed on cross-examination, no? So, that's nothing uncommon. So, ang mga prosecutors natin ay handa naman ho sa ganyang klaseng proseso. So, as you could see yesterday, it went smoothly naman yung presentation of our first witness.
Okay po. And with how the defense raised objections yesterday sa direct examination nga ng prosecution, with the manner how they conducted themselves, with the objections and all, do you think this offers a glimpse into how the defense plans to mount a defense of Vice President Sara Duterte?
Yes, no, again, this is something that we've anticipated from the start. This is consistent with their actions, no? From the time that this thing started before the House of Representatives, diba? They tried to block, no, from the impeachment proceedings from moving forward, filing petitions with the Supreme Court. Yesterday, diba? We all know that another Supreme Court, another motion has been filed with Supreme Court asking for the issuance of the TRO to stop the impeachment proceeding from continuing, no? And even their answers, they raised affirmative defenses asking for the outright dismissal of the case based on technicalities and other legal arguments. So, we were anticipating that, no, that they will try to prevent us from presenting evidence. But again, as I've mentioned, no, to be fair, syempre, that's their prerogative, no? Strategy nila yan, no? But kami naman, isa lang focus namin, we'll continue to present solid evidence to prove the articles of impeachment.
Okay po. And yesterday, the Vice President visited Senator Marcoleta po sa detention. Could this raise arguments against the senator serving as a judge in the trial? And should the visit cast any doubts on the senator's capacity to be impartial throughout the trial?
Kenneth, hindi ko na pang ihimasukan yan, no? And that's her prerogative. She can visit whoever she wants to visit, and we respect that.
Dagdagan ko na lang siguro, di ba, nostalgic nga tayo. Nung isang hearing ng Blue Ribbon noon, kung napapansin nyo, nung nawala po yung hopya ni Senator Marcoleta. Tapos kinain po yata ni dating Congressman Paduano yung hopya niya. Nung break po namin, napansin ko na may baon po na hamburger ang Office of the Vice President. May baon po silang Jollibee. Si Senator Marcoleta lang po ang binigyan niya na congressman ng cheeseburger nun. So, siguro medyo may level of closeness sa pagkakaibigan sila without naman judging kung ano man ang relasyon ng pagiging senador or OVP. Siguro one of her BFF siguro kasi siya lang yung binigyan nga ng cheeseburger na congressman. Kami hindi binigyan.
Haji?
Video footage showing an interview given by the respondent, no, where she made the threats against the life of the President, the First Lady, and the Speaker of the House. So, as pointed out, no, by Kong Pao, napanood na ho natin to lahat, no? So regardless of the attacks that will be made on the even character of the or credibility of the NBI officer who authenticated this footage, I think medyo mahirap po sigurong ma-attack yung authenticity ng document itself. But I mean the footage itself. But of course, no, we don't want to preempt what they'll try to do on cross-examination.
What about po yung sinasabi nila na may sinusundang script? Na-expect niyo po ba na they will, kumbaga, try to establish na meron nga pong sinusundang script? Tapos, syempre po, kumpiyansa po ba kayo dun sa expertise na meron si John Mark Calido?
Okay. Quite frankly, that was uncalled for, no? And Attorney Ligutan properly called that out, no? Dahil napakalinaw naman ho nung tinatanong yung witness about the document, kaya wala sa kanya, dahil pinasa ho dun sa depensa yung dokumento. No? So, but again, how they'll handle this trial, how they'll defend their client, no? That's their prerogative. Di natin ho pangungunahan kung ano magiging trial strategy nila dito.
Last question na lang po. Although it's their right to request na play nga po yung whole 2 hours ng press conference ni VP that time, do you think na yun pong ipinresent ninyo na 2 minutes and 18 seconds po would provide the context that the public needs or the senator judges need? Tapos po, kasi considering na before the answer of the Vice President, I think may question din po na ni-raise yung isa po na nandun sa press conference. So sapat na po ba yung konteksto na na-provide kung kayo po yung tatanong?
Again, as we've stated, if they want to play the entire video, that's their prerogative. No? Tignan natin kung papayagan sila ng impeachment court na panoorin natin pare-pareho for more than 2 hours itong entire video na to. No? So, but napakaliwanag naman ho, no? Kahit sang konteksto mo pabalik-balik na rin kung ano ho yung mga sinabing pagmumura at pananakot sa buhay ho ng Presidente, ng First Lady, and ng Speaker of the House. So, again, for us, we didn't see the need to play the entire video consisting of more than 2 hours. And what we showed is more than enough.
Saka napakaklaro naman na hindi splice, hindi edited, hindi AI, actual video with the timestamps. Pag nanonood ka naman ng championship sa NBA, pagkatapos ng laro, di ba, papanoorin mo yung highlights. Gusto mo yung winning shot ni Michael Jordan lang, paulit-ulit mong papanoorin. So that's the money shot. Kitang-kita natin yun. Alam natin yun.
Pasensya na, medyo late ako, pero magdadagdag na rin ako. No? Dadagdag din ako, so I got the question. I think it's not only about establishing the veracity and the authenticity of these video clips, but more important is what the effect of the threats that she made, no, against the president to the whole nation. Ano yung epekto nito? Hahayaan ba natin to na basta-basta na lang ma-express without accountability? Of course, you cannot also expect that the agencies will not do anything to investigate, because it was said in a manner by which it should be taken seriously. No, and the threat was done, directed not just for an individual, but it is directed against the head of state, head of government, and the commander-in-chief. That's why it is also a national security concern. That's why many agencies came in and investigated if there was indeed an agreement that was made and reached by the respondent and the hitman. Pangalawa, dadagdagan ko na lang po, the mere fact that she had that idea and made an understanding and agreement with the person whose livelihood is sourced out from killing people is already a betrayal of public trust. Kasi she is expected to uphold the law, she is expected to promote the rule of law, that no one should take justice into their own hands. Yun mismo yung alam niya na merong mamamatay tao at hindi niya ito pinagsabi sa mga pulis, sa mga ahensya ng ating gobyerno, at siya mismo ang nakipag-usap. That alone is a betrayal of the oath that she has taken prior to the assumption as Vice President of this land.
All right, and then, your turn.
Good morning po. I-follow up ko lang po yun dun sa banta ni BP Sara. Dun sa presentation kahapon, na wala po kasi yung kapag pinatay ako. Kaya dun po papasok yung sinasabi ng yung conditional threat. At ito daw po ay hindi naman pumapasok doon sa articles of impeachment. Hindi po siya impeachable offense. Pwede pong pakipaliwanag natin sa ating mga kababayan.
First of all, to be accurate, I think the witness himself repeatedly stated that, no, nung tinatanong ho siya about dun sa mga relevant na portions ho nung interview, sinabi din ho niya yan, no, yung parte na yon bago siya sumagot, no, at pagkatapos yung buong statement ho na yan. So nailad naman yun. And if the defense would want to emphasize that, they're free to do so. They can do that during cross-examination. No, but our position remains, no, that condition does not make the threat any less unacceptable. No, again, as pointed out by Kong Zia, this threat was made by no less than the person who will benefit, no, should it be carried out. Diba? It was made against the highest officer of the land by the person who will benefit if it happens.
Dadagdag ko lang, no? Remember, even before that response to a question during the Zoom conference, there were already interviews and statements by her indicating that is already that pattern. Puputulin ng ulo, di ba? Huhukayin yung dating Pangulong Marcos, itatapon sa WPS. So, kahapon po, pinresenta din po yan ng prosecution to prove that there is that pattern. No? Even prior to saying, to making this grave threats during the actual Zoom interview ng Vice President. But be as it may, no? Whatever context, no, whatever reason there may be, grave threats should not be tolerated. Whatever the consequence involved, whatever the circumstance, or yung sinasabi nilang context, para maintindihan daw. Contracting an assassin and having reached an agreement with an assassin is in itself a violation of the Constitution, being the second highest official in the land. That alone, again, that alone is an impeachable offense. So it's regardless whether the context is, because of there's a rumor or a plan to eradicate a certain family, that does not even give justification to threatening the president, who is the commander-in-chief, the head of government, and the head of state, who, by the way, if that happens, she would be the one to stand to benefit from that.
Janeska?
Good morning, sir. Yung sinasabi lang po kahapon ni Presiding Officer Escudero, on photocopies po kasi ito, kasi the defense seems to be dwelling dun sa part na photocopies lang po the documents being presented and as being testified by the NBI agent Kalilong, puro daw po photocopies. Tapos, hindi daw exactly pareho dahil yung isa may nakalagay na certified true copy. May sasabi siyang ganun. But I understand, ito lang kasi yung nakatch ko dun sa sinabi, sa ruling ni ni Presiding Officer Escudero na this is the prosecution is trying to comply with the requirements enunciated by the Supreme Court insofar as such pieces of evidence is concerned. Sabi ni Senator Escudero. Can you just expound, sir, why photocopies are as good as the original? Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the question. No? Para mas maliwanagan tayo lahat. I think madami nagtatanong tungkol sa bagay niya. No? So under the new rules on evidence, malinaw ho yan. No? That there's a rule that we call the original document rule. Under that rule, duplicates, no, such as photocopies, are considered as originals, no, provided that there's no genuine issue regarding its authenticity. Now, kung ang riniraise lang ho, no, ng mga discrepancies ay merong marka na certified true copy versus sa ibang copy, that is not a genuine issue of authenticity that's being raised against it, because it shows that aside from that stamp or that marking, they're the same. It's a faithful reproduction of the original. So, yan ho yung konteksto na yun. No? I think sa social media, madaming nagko-question dyan sa bagay na yan, na ngayon ba, ang passport, meron nagsabing gano'n, no? Pwede ka na ba daw lumipad? Dala mo yung photocopy. Hindi ho gano'n yun. No? Ang sinabi ni Atty. Ligutan, yan ho ay nakabase sa rules on evidence. No? Sa pagpepresenta ng mga dokumento sa korte, again, under the updated rules on evidence, hindi na kailangan na palaging original ang document ay pepresenta mo, subject to the conditions that I've mentioned.
Thank you, sir. Yan lang po from my end. Thank you.
Marian, your turn.
Good morning po. Yesterday po, si Presiding Officer Jesus Cordero, kinonfirm po niya na yung 16 po votes for the two-thirds threshold po, yung formal ruling na ng impeachment court. Well, of course, subject pa raw po, so any legal remedies available to the parties. Questionin po ba ito ng prosecution sa Korte Suprema, lalo na may initial statements po, even you, Atty. Tolosa, Lead Prosec Luistro, considering yung interpretation nga po ng Avellino doctrine?
Well, first to clarify, I've never stated yet our official legal position on this two-thirds issue because I've always said that it will be improper for me to discuss, our legal position on that, because it was premature at that time, But well, first of all, I'd like to emphasize that our stand on this has been consistent, from the very start. We don't engage in vote counting. Focus namin dito to establish an airtight case backed by overwhelming evidence so that at the end of the day, no matter how this two-thirds threshold will be interpreted, we'll be able to secure that necessary vote. Okay, as to the legal steps that we may take regarding this matter, it's still under deliberation and discussions by the panel of prosecutors, and let's see how we'll address that issue.
Idadagdag ko lang, I think during the early part of this impeachment process, it also came out the possibility of reinterpreting. But these are ideas and legal opinions that did not emanate from the House Prosecution Panel. It actually came from other personalities who are very much known to be in the legal community. Sinabi naman from the very start ng ating lead prosecutor, si Congresswoman Jinky Luistro, that should there be an event, in the event that there will be an event that this would be officially discussed, ang sinabi naman ng House Prosecution Panel lead ay hindi kami magre-render or mag-officially request the court to reinterpret this. Ibig sabihin, na itong kapangyarihan na ito para bigyang linaw yung interpretation ng Constitution pagdating sa thresholds vis-a-vis yung current membership sa ngayon ay inililive again. Sinabi nga din ni Atty. Tolosa, sabi ng ating lead prosecutor, ay kapangyarihan yan ng korte. Kung may constitutional issue at may controversy, again, hinayaan doon din natin yung proper na forum at proper na venue para pag-usapan ito. Basta very clear po yung sinabi niya, we will not make any official or formal request before the impeachment court to reinterpret the constitutional requirement of a threshold to reach the judgment by the impeachment court.
Go ahead.
The follow-up lang sa question ni Marian, sir. Pero, so you will not raise it before the impeachment court, but will you raise it before the Supreme Court? Are you open to that possibility?
There are no discussions about that matter, But because as we've stated, we're really focused on just presenting solid evidence before the impeachment court. So at the end of the day, if it's 16, then we should be able to get 16.
So, as of now, is that maybe the stand po ng prosecution? You will never bring this to the Supreme Court?
As I've stated, there's no decision about that matter yet, and quite frankly, that is not included in any of our priorities. Again, our priority right now is focus on the trial and focus on continuing to prove our case by by presenting evidence.
Just to clarify, Marian, because you were there during the press con when I was with Kong Jinky and Congresswoman Bella Zamora. Remember there was a question whether there would be, the House Prosecution Panel will be contemplating on filing for an official or formal request before the impeachment court to readjust or reinterpret the threshold 16. And it was very clear by the response of Congresswoman Jinky that the House Prosecution Panel will not request or make any official request before the impeachment court, no, to readjust the threshold.
Pero hindi pa sarado yung hintuan ninyo when it comes to raising it to the Supreme Court.
Again, in the realm of possibilities, that's a remedy that's available to us under the law and under the rules. But as I've stated, are we discussing it at this moment? We're not. Is that more priorities? It's not. Again, our priority is to continue to present evidence before the impeachment court.
Dadagdag ko lang, just so we can clarify na the position, just we can clarify. The one that we're saying and the one that is referring to by Congresswoman Jinky is the Honorable Impeachment Court. If we talk about the Supreme Court, that's a different venue altogether. No? And it's very evident by the way the House Prosecution Panel approached this trial. Una, nagpresent ng kaso, and never did we intimate or reflect in our position in the pre-trial brief that there will be a possibility that we will file a formal request. Never. And that is consistent with what the lead prosecutor, Congresswoman Jinky Luistro, said in the previous briefing that we conducted in the House, at the House of Representatives.
Sir, were you there po all throughout the trial nung I think meron pong comment si Attorney Ligutan, pinuna po niya yung gumawa raw ng eksena, may scene, nag-walk out daw. Kumbaga ito si Attorney Sheila Sison. Can you walk us through? Baka maalala niyo ano yung nangyari kahapon.
I think there was this moment when Attorney Ligutan was responding to a question posed by Senator Risa, right, about the materiality of the evidence being presented. The defense counsel stood up, no, but to him. But in fairness to the other camp, they clarified that there was no attempt to walk out, and they were just trying to go to the comfort room, I think. So we don't want to make much out of that incident. It's already been settled yesterday.
Alas na lang po. Follow-up lang po dun sa question ni Ate Eden, do wala na kasi siya. I think baka pwede lang po natin bigyan ng emphasis yung gaano ba kabigat. Kasi po parang ang argument is that conditional threat siya eh. So parang paano siya naging impeachable offense? Ang grave threats ba will fall under high crimes too? Baka hindi lang siya betrayal of public trust, culpable violation of the Constitution. Can you emphasize on that?
Okay. So, again, as pointed out by Kong Zia a while ago, let's remember that the statements made by the respondent, she admitted that she already had an agreement with the assassin. An agreement to end the life of no less than the President of the Republic, the First Lady, and the then sitting Speaker of the House. So, no amount of condition or any other context that they would want to offer will justify that. That would make that right. That is the position that has been made clear in the opening statements made yesterday and even in the answers given by Attorney Ligutan to the questions posed by Senator Riza.
Sir, quick follow-up lang po dun sa tanong ni Ate Janesca. Outside trial lang po, how are you handling or countering lang po yung misinformation and misunderstanding? Kasi kahapon nga po medyo tumatak talaga yung sinabi ni Attorney Ligutan doon sa photocopies being considered original, and meron din po kasing mga nagpo-post din online na nagpo-photocopy nga po ng pera and then sinasabi na pambayad ng Meralco. Paano nyo lang po nakakounter yung mga ganong misunderstanding or misinformation?
Ako na? Ikaw? Hindi kasi ano yan, marami tayong great philosophers sa mundo ngayon, di ba? Siyempre, meron silang mga chat GPT na pang-reply nila, saka pang-sagot nila. Marami silang tools to make them great philosophers as well. Tuloy ko lang yung sa grave threats, di ba? Wala yatang universe na magsasabi na hindi po grave o mataas na krimen ang i-threaten ang buhay ng pamilya ng Pangulo ng Pilipinas o kahit saan bansa man. Parang walang magdi-disagree nun, except the great philosophers. Pero yung mga pilosopong yan, at saka yung mga henyo na nandyan, kahit nga dun lang sa word na grave threats, pwede mo nang kunin yung sagot eh. Di ba? Grave. Ano yung kasunod ng grave? Threat. Ano yung grave? Libingan. Di ba? Kung kukunin mo yun, grabe. Kung tatagalugin mo yung grave, grabe. Grabing threat. So, kahit na pilosopohin mo rin yung sagot, wala rin sila mapapalusot kasi it's just there. Nakalatag na kaya. It's so obvious na anong palusot pang hahanapin mo dyan sa mga ganyang bagay. Now, in terms of the photocopy, in-explain na rin ni Attorney Tolosa na yung mga ganyang ebidensya, inaalaw po ng ating korte. Kung yung mga great philosophers, saka yung mga great na nagtatanong, gumawa sila ng sarili ng rules sa korte. Doon, papasa siguro yung mga gusto nila mangyari. Pero, ang hirap pong ipaliwanag, yung bagay na hindi na kailangan ipaliwanag. Marami pong bagay na will speak for itself. At itong article po na to, itong grave threats na to, may sariling buhay yan, hindi na kailangan ipaliwanag yan. Semantics na lang po yung nilalaro nila dyan. Salamat.
Well, ang mabuti naman doon, na kasi we always look at the bright side. No? Even if these are things that came out from the social media na medyo pabiro, isa lang ibig sabihin yan, nakatutok ang taong bayan at nakikinig sila. And that is what important, the important thing that we need to realize here. No? Pero sinabi nga kanina ni Atty. Jay, huwag niyong isisirok sa mga pera niyo tapos bumili kayo ng mga supermarket na hindi tatanggapin yan. Kasi fake yan, fake monetary yan. Minsan, nakita niyo po sa mga cashier, nakapaskil dyan yung mga peke na pera, baka naman mahuli pa kayo. So, huwag niyo hong gagawin yan, ha? So, pangalawa, kaya nga po tayo dito sa prosecution panel, apart from presenting the evidence in the open court, gumagawa ho tayo ng conference or press briefing tulad nito. Dahil importante po importante po yung participation ng media dito sa ating bansa. Lalong-lalo na po itong impeachment trial. Dahil ang media po ang nagbibigay impormasyon para bigyang kasagutan yung mga tanong ng ating taong bayan as we move along with this trial, no? Isa po ito sa mga paraan kung paano na ho natin na papaliwanag sa kanila kung ano pa yung napapakinggan nila doon sa actual trial na to. Pero alam mo, nagpapasalamat po ako sa kanila. Dahil maski pabiro po ito, ibig sabihin ay interesado sila na makinig at subaybayan ang ating trial. Pero ang sa legal naman, na-explain na po yan ni Atty. Jay, ito po yung sa korte, ito po yung sinasabi na paano i-presenta yung mga ebidensya mo na kung hindi siya true copy, at least photocopy siya, i-attest naman yun ng korte. Huwag niyo gagawin yan kasi inaalaw lang ho yan sa actual na trial. Pag bumibili ho kayo ng shampoo, hindi yun actual trial yun. Pagbibili po yun ng inyong mga grocery items. Huwag niyo yung gagawin yan dahil baka hulihin ho kayo ng security guard ng shopping mall.
Kaya maraming salamat po sa mga great philosophers, sa mga nagko-comment, sa mga trolls, sa mga bashers. Kasi, naalala po ng House Media. Salamat po dahil nananatiling buhay ang usapan ng impeachment. Pero nandito na tayo ngayon, nag-umpisa na yung trial. Dati kasi parang papasok pa lang tayo doon. So salamat. Thank you.
Joy?
Sir, good morning po. Just for some clarification lang po.
what is the threshold of proof on testimonies and evidence required in the impeachment trial? Is it the same in the regular criminal or civil case, or it is beyond kasi it's an impeachment of the highest official?
Hindi, maliwanag naman ho yan na ang impeachment proceedings no, ay hindi ho criminal in nature. No? Kaya ho ang tinatawag sa Vice President dito ay hindi ho accused kung hindi ho respondent. No? So hindi ho nag-a-apply yung quantum of evidence na required ho dyan. No? And hindi din ho nakalagay sa Constitution o kung saan mang rule kung ano ho ang i-apply na quantum of evidence dyan. No? Although I think it was, if I remember correctly, it was mentioned by the presiding officer that he would want to apply the requirement of clear and convincing evidence. If I remember correctly, that we'll have to check that. But at the end of the day, tingin ho namin, ang pinakamaliwanag na batayan dito ay kung hindi ho yung maghusga base sa ebidensya na linatag ng magkabilang partido.
Idadagdag ko lang po, yung penalty if ever po na conviction ang ma-arrive ng korte, wala naman pong jail time ito. Ang magiging penalty po ay removal from office and perpetual disqualification from holding an office. Kaya hindi po siya tulad ng, and then Attorney Jay can correct me on this, hindi po siya tulad ng regular criminal proceedings na beyond reasonable doubt yung dapat na ma-prove ng prosecution. Dito po is kung may papakita po na meron talagang paglabag sa Constitution at sabi nga po ng ating presiding officer, yun naman talaga yung quantum of evidence required in the impeachment trial, maaari po natin masabi na the conviction is obtainable.
Okay, thank you, Joy. Yes.
Saglit na may palong ako. Sir, with regards naman po doon sa sinabi ni BP Sara kahapon, di ba, nagpunta po siya rito, but she didn't attend the trial, yung bloodbath and bludgeoning, I will be blooded but unbound somehow, ganyan po. Do you see a consistent pattern of incendiary language or it's with just an emotional disgust? Ano pong interpretation ng prosecution panel? Does it frame as a warning, a call to action, or just a mere expression of disappointment or judgment?
Mahilig siya sa blood. Yun yung napansin ko. Baka pati yung order sa bar, Bloody Mary. So, parang yun lang yung... Kasi one-liner lang eh. Tapos, nag-move out na. So, it's open to interpretation. So, interpretative dance. So, umalis na. So, again, sabi ko nga, alam ko talaga na medyo hindi siya mag-a-attend talaga ng hearings eh. So, siguro nag-ano lang siya. Nagparamdam. Parang clickbait nga. Pagka-click mo, ay, iba naman pala yung nangyari, iba yung laman. So, yun lang. Mahilig siya sa blood.
But matagal naman po natin sinasabi ang House Prosecution Panel that this is the perfect venue for the respondent to clear her name. If the defense truly believe that she has that, they have that, they have the answers in order for the public or for the respondent to clear her name. This is the perfect opportunity to do so. At hindi naman ho namin yan sinasabi na kami lang yung nananawagan. Sila ho mismo, sinabi ho nila in the previous months, no? Na ready na ho sila, they will answer the allegation. But be that as it may, again, the answering the allegation is answering directly whether or not she has ordered the way by the utilization of the confidential funds, which according to COA is outside of their joint circular. So therefore, there's a violation on the utilization of funds. We have not heard her deny that, no? So these are the questions that the people want to hear from her, no? Kasi siya po this is her trial eh. Pero yung mga quotations po taken out from a popular poem, pero sa akin po, parang it appeared and it sounded like a Game of Thrones inspired punchline. ay hindi po yun ang kasagutan at hindi po yun ang inaasahan ng mga tao na yun yung sinasabi nilang handa silang sumagot sa proper forum. Unfortunately, the public also is yet again disappointed.
Okay, we'll entertain last two questions kasi po may schedule pa sila after this. Okay, go ahead.
Good afternoon, Lance po from Watch Plus. Two things from my end. Kahapon, Attorney Lorna Mapunan said that the prosecution may move to subpoena or may file a request to subpoena the respondent herself, Vice President Sara Duterte herself. So first po, when are we expecting the request to be filed?
Let's see. That's a matter of strategy, that of course you would understand. We cannot discuss with you, but let's wait and see for it.
But sir, right now po, as a follow-up, do you see any challenge to subpoena or to compel the Vice President to take the witness stand? Kasi ngayon pa nga po, hindi po natin siya, hindi siya dumadala ng trial. So how challenging would it be for the prosecution to compel to take the witness?
Okay. Well, as I mentioned a while ago, this is not a criminal case. In a criminal case, because of the right against self-incrimination, the prosecution cannot call into the stand the accused herself as witness. But again, the respondent's not an accused here, she's a respondent. So when that time comes, if and when we file a request for issuance of subpoena directed to the respondent herself, let's see how the impeachment court will act on it.
All right, thank you, Rosalie, for final but not...
Mag-pound lang po ako dan. Sufficient evidence na po yung videos ni VP Duterte making grave threats against the Vice President. Why there's a need to present her as a hostile witness?
Again, let's not preempt the issue. And if we will call her as a witness, that does not necessarily mean that it will be confined to the articles relating to grave threats. So, but siguro for now, hintayin muna natin. Baka it's too early to talk about it. Let's go about it in detail when the prosecution actually files a request already for issuance of subpoena.
Dadagdag ko lang, Ross. The beauty about the trial is every day nagkakaroon ng clarity as to the procedure and what is acceptable to the court. Si Attorney Kapunan intimated that before the court because of the 5-day ruling. At least it's very clear that the clarification of Attorney Kapunan was entered into the record for the court also to contemplate on the possibility of allowing such presentation of witness. It's either material or hostile witness. So yun po yung ginawa ni Attorney Kapunan, para clarity for both the prosecution and the defense vis-a-vis the 5-day ruling of presenting a potential evidence, subject to the 5-day ruling that you have to inform the court and as well as the opposing side. So that is just a manifestation that that Attorney Kapunan raised before the open court, so that for the purpose of clarity.
Pero hindi nyo naman po ini-intend na pagsabaying i-present or pagsunuring i-present si Attorney Zuleika Lopez and the Vice President. For example, next week, because you have already filed a motion for subpoena for Attorney Zuleika Lopez.
Tignan mo natin, matters like that or matters of trial strategy that fall upon the exclusive discretion of the prosecution. So, let's wait and see.
Very last na lang po. Sir, some observers, including po Representative Antonio Tino, said ang defense team, ang strategy nila magbato ng objections and delaying tactics. Do you agree with this observation po?
Well, ayaw naman nating mag-ascribe ng any ill intentions dun sa other party, but we're all of us what happened yesterday, and we can make our own judgments about it.
But you're happy with the...
Dadagdag ko lang kasi we observe that also. Again, it's the right and the strategy of the defense, both sides. We also expect that the prosecution would also be raising objections pag time po ng cross-examination. And that's the regular occurrence in an actual trial. What is important is napakita po ng House prosecution how ready we are how, the prosecution panel, yung pag-examine sa witness, did a very stellar job. Naipresenta sa korte, pati na rin sa publiko. And no matter the strategy or yung sa defense, hindi na butasan yung ebidensya. At napakita natin na meron siyang expertise at credible siya para maging witness na matest niya itong mga videos na to ay hindi doctored at kinolekta nila to, pinreserve nila ito. No? So yun ang very important na nangyari kahapon.
Very last follow-up. So do you see their strategy failing po?
Well, it's too early to make any judgments about this, no. But what we can say is, despite the repeated attempts to block us from presenting evidence, no, we were able to do that yesterday. Bro, before I end it, no, even though Red already left, I think it's just proper that we give Kong Zia the opportunity to address the question because it was directed to him a while ago. No? Although we responded to it, baka mas maganda siya makapagbigay ng kaliwanagan.
Yes, Kong. Sinabi mo na you secured panalo kahapon.
And we explained na you were not talking about it as a whole and you were just yesterday. But
So
baka to be fair, maganda
okay,
Kong Zia
let me
Madrid.
clarify, no? When all of us witnessed what happened yesterday, when I say we claim victory, I do not refer to the actual specific day that we have presented our case. That would definitely dictate, for example, the outcome of this whole trial. What I'm trying to prove to the public is that for the longest time, the House of Representatives has been doing, the House Prosecution Panel has been doing all the efforts that we have exerted for the trial to proceed. Because we believe that this is about accountability mechanism of the Constitution. This is upholding and preserving and promoting the Constitution. And for that premise, we are victorious because the purpose of this impeachment is to serve the Filipino public. And whatever is the way and means by which to serve the Filipino public is victory to the Filipino people.
Ang sinabi ko, kinilig ka lang eh. Na-excite ka. Oh.
But I would not deny that. Lahat naman talaga masaya din sa nangyari. Masaya sa nangyari.
Alright?
Okay, so where's
Alright, on that note, sana masaya tayo lahat for this press conference and we want to see you again. We welcome you again tomorrow for another press
Thank you again, everyone. Thank you.
Have a bloody good afternoon, guys.